It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy again, Shade, the one and only. And today, guys, we are back again. Hello, Leute, ich bin Shade and Ziga. Okay, today, guys, we're going to check out the German city with more bikes than cars. We know that Germans love their cars. They've got the autobahn, a road, yeah, a highway with no speed limit. So Germans love their cars. But for there to be a German city with more bikes than cars, I want to see this. I know the Dutch love their bikes. Yeah, Dutch and bike, synonymous. But Germans, a city with more bikes than cars. Okay, let's check this out. Let's like it first.
This is Freiburg im Breisgau, a city in the Black Forest.
Okay.
It's often referred to as Germany's Green City. It's a city with more than twice as many bicycles as cars.
Is it?
And over 400 kilometers of bicycle lanes. It's a city with a lot of trams and amazing pedestrianized streets. Over the past few decades, Freiburg has become a leader in modern sustainable urban development, and they're building an absolutely amazing city in the process.
More bikes than cars. A city in Germany.
Germany is well known for its car industry and autobahns.
Exactly what I said in the intro. Germans are known for this.
But Freiburg is different. This is a city where cars do not rule. Freiburg is a university town and around 10% of the population attends the university. So obviously you see a lot of students cycling to and from school.
That makes
and
sense.
A lot of bicycles parked outside the university. But you also see a lot of cargo bikes and families, a key indicator that Freiburg has a very advanced bicycle culture. The old town in the center of Freiburg is a wonderful place to be. There's old architecture alongside the new.
Wow,
and
look at
the
that.
streets are beautiful too. Isn't this amazing? I even managed to film 2 trams going through here at once. Appreciate my patience and good timing. Everywhere you look, there are trams, people cycling, and lots of people of all ages out enjoying themselves. There are nice, narrow streets and lots of outdoor patios. The city center is almost entirely pedestrianized, so of course, it's very quiet.
Okay.
Yet another reminder that cities aren't loud, cars are loud. And when you do see the occasional car, it looks comically out of place with so many people around.
Exactly.
The city center has these open water channels, and it's said if you fall in one, you're destined to marry someone from Freiburg. But
okay, let's go fall in the water and test this myth out.
The best part is that kids actually make boats to sail on the water. Isn't this just one of the most wholesome things you've ever seen? This is so much fun. I was lucky enough to meet up with Ashton from the YouTube channel Type Ashton while I was in town. She and her family are from the US, but they loved Freiburg so much that they decided to stay in Germany permanently. Ashton has great videos on her channel about everything from macroeconomics to microurbanism, and she talks a lot about the differences between the US and Germany. I'll leave a link to her channel below. And of course, she's also an expert in Freiburg, which was great for my first trip here to this amazing city. Seriously, the Freiburg Old Town is one of the nicest places I've ever been to. So you might be thinking, okay, this is an old medieval city, but actually it's not what you might think. Sure, Freiburg was originally founded in the year 1120, but most of Freiburg was leveled in World War II, which was the case for many cities in Europe.
I was about to say that, yeah.
But what was truly unique about Freiburg is that when they rebuilt it, they made it similar to what it used to be instead of being rebuilt for cars.
Okay, so they tried to make it like a replica of what it was before. Okay, so more like they restored it.
So remarkably, pretty much everything you see here is less than 75 years old.
Oh.
Unfortunately, the rest of the city was not so lucky. It's commonly said in Freiburg that the war destroyed 80% of the city and cars destroyed the other 20%. Outside of the city center, neighborhoods were built with that car-centric vision of modernity that was common across the world in the 1960s. This road just outside of the city center used to be a narrow street, just like the rest, with several popular beer gardens and restaurants. but they were all destroyed to build the ring road. The 1960s really were the decade of destroy stuff to build roads, and we're still paying for those decisions today. It was only very recently that activists were finally successful in getting a car lane removed to build this totally insufficient bicycle lane. This area will likely never return to its original beauty, and it's entirely because of car infrastructure. Ironically, the center of Freiburg, though rebuilt in the style of the original city, was completely overrun by cars and asphalt. Look at this difference between this footage from 1973 and how it looks today.
Wow. A complete transformation. Total transformation.
This pedestrian square...
Wait, what building is this? I love how this building looks. Yeah, it looks like something from the Transformers.
used to be a parking lot. Now parking for the city center is in garages on the periphery. There were several key decisions that put Freiburg on the right path and avoided the destruction that comes from making a place car-friendly.
Okay.
In 1972, the city voted to keep its tram network. This had a massive impact on the Freiburg we see today. There's one consistent thing I've seen in cities all over the world. Every city that retained its tram network has better urbanism than any nearby city that didn't. But Freiburg went a step further and actually expanded its tram network through the 80s and 90s, while other European cities were removing theirs.
Oh.
The first part of the city center was pedestrianized in 1973, and once the cars were removed, the city center became a successful business district with a popular market that is still active today. The market surrounds this beautiful cathedral, and it's one of the genuine highlights of the city center. And of course, this used to be a parking lot too.
Wow.
In the 1970s, there was a growing
change.
environmental movement that protested any developments that would destroy the neighboring Black Forest. This kept the city more compact than most cities that were built or rebuilt for the automobile after the war. In 2002, Freiburg elected the first Green Party mayor in Germany, and since then, Freiburg has become the model for sustainable city development in Europe. One great example of this is Vauban, a suburb completed in the early 2000s that was designed to be environmentally friendly from the start. The buildings here were built to a very high energy efficiency standard, and you see solar panels on roofs and balconies all over the neighborhood. Some of these buildings even generate more energy than they consume.
Wow.
The neighborhood was built on the location of a former military base, and some of the apartments were built from the original barracks. One really unique element is that many of these apartment buildings are collectively owned. A group of people would come together and build an apartment building themselves instead of buying units from a developer.
Yeah, makes sense.
Today, the majority of residents in Vauban live in housing cooperatives or social housing developments. When Vauban was first built, only about half of households owned a car, but remarkably, that number has actually decreased, especially after the tram line was completed in 2006. Today, the vast majority of households in Vauban do not have a car.
Was this fake London? Yeah, that's funny. Fake London. These guys are so funny, man. All right, let's go.
And there are only about 170 motor vehicles per 1,000 inhabitants. I wonder if these old clunkers count towards that number. You don't have to walk around very long to realize that a lot of people get around here by cycling, even though this is a suburb on the edge of the city. The neighborhood makes extensive use of modal filters, allowing people walking or cycling to pass through while being off limits to cars. This is exactly the same method that the Netherlands uses to discourage car traffic, especially through traffic in residential neighborhoods.
Cool.
This makes the streets of Vauban very safe for children, and you see lots of kids out on their own. And some of the streets here are designated as play streets.
I see.
This neighborhood has one of the highest percentage of children in all of Germany, which isn't that surprising because places without cars are better for kids.
Safer, exactly.
Vauban is also very well served by transit. On the west side is a transit station with tram and bus stops connecting residents to other parts of the city. But the tram line also runs along the whole side of the neighborhood, making it easily accessible to everyone who lives here. This should be the model used to design new suburbs everywhere.
Makes so much sense.
Unfortunately,
so
not
much.
all neighborhoods in Freiburg are as well designed as Vauban. So you'll see other districts with streets lined with parked cars. And it always annoys me when cars are supposed to be parked on the sidewalk. Because while Freiburg spent only a few decades building car-centric infrastructure, those places still remain, as it takes many decades to repair that kind of damage.
I see.
But you can see some of those repairs taking place, with extra space being given back to people who walk and cycle. There is, of course, a lot of bicycle infrastructure in Freiburg, including many curb-protected bicycle paths. Unfortunately, even major intersections are totally unprotected, designed in the Copenhagen style as opposed to using much safer Dutch designs. And there are still many painted bicycle gutters and dangerous merge lanes on busy roads. So clearly there are still opportunities for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, so far the plan is amazing, yeah, but it's still like a work in progress, but it's very amazing. Very, very amazing. I must say, like, I like the ingenuity of Germans, okay? They cut down the cars and made it more family and more social friendly.
But many of the streets in Freiburg have so little car traffic that dedicated bicycle infrastructure is not required. And some of these have been designated as bicycle streets, where people cycling can use the whole street and drivers need to yield to bikes. And it's always great to see parking spaces converted to outdoor seating for local restaurants.
It just feels like the whole air there will just be so fresh because there are less cars, less pollution, so much freshness, yeah. And like I said, I love how a lot of cities in Germany, okay, make it one with nature. Like you include nature in your design and your plans, and you make it in a way that it cuts down a lot of pollution. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Now, there's a lot that's been written about the cycling infrastructure in Freiburg, but I actually think the tram network is one of the city's best features. Freiburg refers to its tram system as a Stadtbahn instead of a Straßenbahn, the usual German word for tram.
Okay.
This is because they consider it to be better, with separated tracks, traffic light priority, and a higher average speed than most tram systems. The trams in Freiburg are very modern, with level boarding at tram stops, making the system very accessible, though there are still some older trams that have yet to be replaced. The tram network covers most of the city and even goes out to several suburbs. And the current planning rules state that new housing cannot be built unless it's within walking distance of a tram line. I didn't even cycle while I was in Freiburg because if I have a choice between cycling and taking a tram, I will take a tram.
Yeah.
I was able to get everywhere I wanted to go, and I never had to wait very long for a tram either. Because the trams have a signal priority and a dedicated lane for most of their routes, getting around by tram is extremely quick and efficient. And there are so many grassy tram tracks here. I love grassy tram tracks. Also, I like the new tram and bus station at Europaplatz, with chargers for the electric buses. And the roof of this station is covered in solar panels. In fact, the entire tram network, as well as all of these electric buses, are run off of renewable energy because, of course they are.
Talk about a green town. Like, green town. Nah, I'm telling you, this is definitely a very green town. Greta Thunberg, she would definitely love the city. She would definitely love the city. If she come protesting again in Germany, just tell her go to Freiburg.
Freiburg is not a sprawling city, so it's very easy to get out into the Black Forest. We heard there was a great view from a cable car nearby, so we set off to visit. We took tram 2 out to the end of the line in the south, where we picked up a bus. We had to walk all the way from the tram right here. This is so great. I know this is just a silly, trivial trip to a tourist attraction, and this trip doesn't really matter at all, but this is the way public transit should be everywhere. Not just for the center of the city, not just for commuting, but for all kinds of trips that someone might want to take. Now, the weather wasn't the best, but the view from the gondola was nice, and when we got back, the tram was waiting for us. Freiburg's train station is centrally located, though not very pretty. We got here by train, by the way. And while the road directly outside of the station is not as nice as it should be, there is a separate area above the station where you can board a tram and go into the old town without interacting with any cars at all. Or you can pick up a bike share bike to continue your journey into the city. And there are clearly a lot of people who cycle here.
Wow.
And if you need to access the other side of the city, this walking and cycling bridge will take you over the train tracks, which also used to be a car bridge until 1996 because, of course, it was. I prefer it like this. And now it leads directly to this bicycle parking garage for the train station. Freiburg is a highly desirable city that is sustainable both environmentally and financially, and with great public transport. It's a beautiful place that's safe for children, accessible to all kinds of people, and enjoyable to be in. And yet, it's not thousands of years old. Every one of us probably knows someone who is older than the Freiburg city center, which really does make you wonder, why can't we build more places like this?
Yes.
It's not like it's lost knowledge. We know how to build like this, and we know people like being in places like this.
Exactly.
This is what the sustainable city of the future should look like. Not a place with wide roads and self-driving cars, but a human-sized city with clean and efficient public transportation and streets that are safe enough for everyone. Over the past few years, Freiburg has become very well known by urban planners in Europe, and many planners and politicians come here to learn about sustainable urban development, which is great because as far as I'm concerned, the more cities that copy Freiburg, the better.
Exactly.
If you're a fan of car-free places, you might enjoy my video about Zermatt, a car-free town in the Swiss Alps. I'll put a link to that video down below, which you can watch now, but only on Nebula.
Wow. Okay, this is amazing. I'm telling you, Germans, their ingenuity is something to be copied. Like the way they made the city sustainable, the way they made the city green, like it's very enviable, very enviable. Like from just watching the video, you can tell that the air is fresh. You can tell it's devoid of pollution. You can see how people socialize a lot. You see how it's so safe for kids, because cars and kids don't go together. It's hard, except maybe you're taking the kids to school, all right? But kids playing and cars around is a danger. Come to London, you're gonna find that out, I'm telling you. But the design of the city is amazing, all right? I really believe many countries, many cities need to copy the sustainable urban development of Freiburg. I think it's something definitely worth copying. All right, at first I was thinking, okay, it's just an old city. All right, just an old city. But looking at it, they have very modern infrastructure. All right, but it's just that it is designed to be green. All right, they focus on using green energy. All right, and that will definitely help the climate. Definitely help the climate, which is something that many countries need to copy. Definitely copy this style. Anyway, guys, it's been your boy Shady, the one and only. Guys, we check this out. A German city with more bikes than cars, which is like, in Germany, bro? Germany, of all other countries, Germany. All right then, do let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I'm gonna catch you in the next video, guys.
And I promise not to leave, but she said she won't phone.